Stay tuned and watch us install this TrafficMaster Rockwood Oak laminate wood flooring. Though a floating floor is pretty forgiving for uneven floors, you still need to make sure the floor is pretty flat, as an 1/8 of an inch can cause the joints to unlock. Sanding the subfloor or using self-leveling compound in very uneven areas are good methods to flatten the floor out. Don't forget to remove any nails sticking up and sweep the floor real good. This type of floor required a foam pad to be installed before laying the laminate floor down, so make sure you read the instructions of your flooring carefully and buy any necessary underlayment that is required. So the first thing we need to do is we need to trim off this edge right here so that it lays flush against the wall, so you can start laying your floor and not have that lip for potential exposure when you put your baseboards down. The other piece we need to do is we need to cut this one down about 8 inches, because that's about the width you want to leave in between joints. Sí, muy poquito. Creo que es un piso más angosto. So we read the instructions, and you're supposed to have a minimum of 12 inches. So always check instructions, even though we don't like to read instructions. Sometimes it's a good idea to do. Uf. El polvero sí es grande con este. Bueno. As you see here, you will end up alternating with a whole board and a smaller board 12 inches wide. When it comes time to start laying down the floor, the first few rows are always the hardest, as the floor moves extremely easy, making for a frustrating time. So take your time and use the spacers in a box of flooring to help keep things in place. So when you get to the end, you want to measure from the top lip of the board all the way to the wall, leaving about a 1/4 inch gap that you will cover with baseboard or toe molding. 40 1/4, and we'll go cut the board. And since this one we had I messed up by hitting it too hard, we're gonna cut this off and use this piece to go here. So don't throw any boards away until you're done with the project. The hardest part is the first 3 rows, because it's always shifting on you. Once you get that, it goes smoother. And it's fragile wood, so it's breaking pretty easily. So we found the trick to be using this metal bar to get to the edge and pushing it in slightly to get from the angle down flat. So you gently hit it till it flattens out, and then you can lightly tap on the 2 joints to lock them together. Entonces, el truco, si quieres ver lo que hago aquí, pongo la cinta aquí y vengo aquí y me dejo un espacito bien pequeño y veo dónde estoy aquí y de ahí lo corto. Entonces es 40 y medio y un palito. Nunca he podido aprenderlos. So as you can see, our luck ended up being that a whole plank is going to be covering the entire hole of the register. So I'll show you a trick on how to cut this out on a whole piece. So it ended up being a little bit easier because the edge is literally right up against this edge of the other board. So we're just gonna lay this down like this and basically just cut a whole groove out of this. We're gonna line it up to the edge of this one here and see where we're gonna make a mark right here and cut out the excess.
Si quieres cortamos
Sí.
corte.
Cortamos este también. It doesn't have to be perfect because the register is going to have a lip over the edge. So I'm just going to trace out the register. So we're going to take the oscillator multi-tool, pretty nifty tool, and we're going to cut around this. So, vamos afuera.
Sí, no.
All right, let's check this out. There we go. Ah, sí, lo hice muy justo. Es que si había un pedazo aquí. Okay. I made it too exact, so should have given myself a little more room. Another trick is to leave enough vapor barrier sticking out, and then you can just cut it off, the excess, when you lay the floor down. Otherwise, when you try and tape it just exact, it's a pain in the butt and you waste too much time. just have this piece here and a really thin piece all across this edge. To avoid having such a narrow piece at the end, measure the width of the room and trim down the first row you lay down so you have a more even ending cut. We obviously took the hard route. So the trick to measure these is do a few measurements along the way and see where is your smallest measurement and use that to kind of cut the piece around. The other trick too is you can line up the piece and have kind of like another piece of board and just trace down, and it'll kind of give you that bevel of the wall as well. Now we move on to the baseboards. See, time for a beer. Finished product. Turned out real good. Let me know in the comments what you think. And thanks for watching.